I had a friend I was talking with right after Mother's Day, and we were sharing what we did on Mother's Day and all of that kind of stuff. And she said, "Oh, I had this really weird thing happen to me." She said, "We were in the middle of brunch, and I don't know what happened. It was like an anxiety attack or something." She said, "My eyes started to droop. I started feeling really fuzzy. I was slurring my words." She said, "And then I came home and I took a 2-hour nap. It was really weird, but I'm feeling better now." And, like, wow, that was really weird. So I'm listening to this and I'm kind of freaking out. Like, I was kind of freaking out. I have to be really honest with you. So I ended up texting her and calling her and saying, like, right now, please call your doctor, because I knew that those were signs and those were things that we needed to be concerned about. As we got through this, and I'll kind of share how she is here in a little bit, but as I started thinking about that, I thought, we have had a lot of conversations on the Graced Health podcast about preventative measures. But what happens when something goes wrong? And how do we know if it's worth taking it beyond the Dr. Google or putting it into Claude or ChatGPT or whatever AI you typically use and like acting fast? So I wanted to provide this common sense episode. We're in this common sense series on when to call 911, when to go to a doctor. I am all about preventative measures. And sometimes, even if we take great care of ourselves, some really terrible things can happen. Because here's the hard truth. Women are more likely than men to dismiss our symptoms. We're more likely to say, okay, whatever, it's probably nothing. I don't want to make a fuss. I don't want to miss that brunch or whatever it is that we're in the middle of. And we also present differently. There's this perception of if you have a heart attack, you clutch your chest, you bend over and you fall over. It's like that first episode on SNL. Like they had, I don't remember, I think it was like a therapist or something like that. And he had this heart attack in the middle of a session. And then I think it was Jim Belushi followed suit and he had this heart attack in the middle. Anyway, I digress. But that's not necessarily how it is for women. So today I want to take this short episode and talk about symptoms for stroke and TIA. I'll share what that is. And then also heart attacks. Please, even if you have heard this before, please listen to it. It's worth hearing again, even if you have heard all of this, because you just never know if you're in a situation or someone you love is in a situation, and it's worth responding in the appropriate measures under the circumstances. So first, let's talk about stroke and TIA. TIA stands for transient ischemic attack. It's sometimes called a mini stroke. So the symptoms are the same as a stroke, but they typically will resolve on their own, usually within minutes or an hour. And here's the critical thing about it. Here's the problem with that. Don't ignore it just because you feel better. A TIA is your body sending up a flare. It's a warning that a full stroke may be coming and it needs to be evaluated immediately. Don't mess around with this. There's actually an acronym for both stroke and TIA. It's called FAST, which is also the name of this episode. So act fast. So F stands for face drooping. Is one side of your face drooping or numb? Ask the person to smile or see if you can smile into a mirror. If it's lopsided, if it's uneven, then that qualifies. A is arm weakness. Is one arm weak or numb? Raise both arms for you or someone else. And are your muscles responding the same, or is one kind of drooping or not as strong? S is speech difficulty. So if your speech is slurred or strange or hard to understand, if they can't say a simple sentence, that's a problem. And then the T is time to call 911. So if you see any of these, call 911, get yourself to a hospital, get yourself to an emergency room. Beyond FAST, you can look for a couple other things. If you're having sudden vision changes in one or both of your eyes, a sudden severe headache that is different than any headaches that you have had before, or a sudden loss of balance or coordination, maybe you're dizzy, you're having trouble walking. These can come on hard and fast and they're disorienting. Even if you ignore it and they get better, that doesn't mean that the issue is resolved. Still contact your health professional. Now let's talk about a heart attack. And this is where women get missed the most. Classic heart attack symptom that we all picture, and kind of like I said at the beginning, is that chest pain. It's that pressure, it's that squeezing, pain in the center or the left side of the chest, which is where your heart is. It may last more than a few minutes, or it may go away and then come back. That's real. But here is how heart attacks will present often in women. So you'll have jaw pain or neck pain. This can get dismissed very easily. It can feel like a toothache or tension. Back pain, particularly between the shoulder blades or in the upper back. Nausea or vomiting. This is often written off as like a stomach bug, anxiety, GI issues, something like that. Extreme unusual fatigue, not just being tired, but like that bone deep exhaustion that feels different. Many women will report feeling this days before a cardiac event. Shortness of breath is another one, even without the chest pain, if you just can't catch your breath. If you're lightheaded or dizzy, that's another sign, especially in women. And then just a sense that something is wrong. This is harder to quantify, but we know, look, as women, we know, and especially if you're in tune with your body, if you have just that feeling of doom, feeling if something isn't right, listen to it. Women can have a heart attack with no chest pain at all. I'm going to repeat that because I want you to hear it. Women can have a heart attack with no chest pain at all. Because our symptoms are subtler and they might diffuse, or maybe they're spread out over a longer period of time, then we'll wait longer to seek help oftentimes, sometimes with devastating consequences. And I will say this also, if you have a man in your life who is having symptoms like that, still don't ignore it. Don't say, okay, well, this is men and this is women. It's just generalization on how those present. You know, from a personal side, I shared in my 500 episode that my dad passed away unexpectedly at the dinner table. His death certificate said he had a heart attack. And he, by all accounts, was in wonderful health. You can go back and listen to that. I'm not going to go and say it all again because I'll probably start crying again, but it was a shock that he had that. He had had flu-like symptoms all week, but he had felt well enough to go drive and get dinner and come back, and they were sitting at the table having dinner. And even though I trust God's timing in this, and even though I know that there was nothing that I could have done, I keep wondering if his heart was in distress for those days before. Was it really the flu, or was it his heart having issues? Or did he have the flu and that was just the last straw for his heart? I don't know. I'll never know on this side of heaven. And I'm okay with not knowing that. But my point is, gosh, there's the what ifs, and that's not fair to do. And it's not fair to do to him, and it's not fair to do to my mom. And so I just kind of need to release that. But, I think we naturally will have what ifs. I do believe that as hard and heartbreaking and horrible as it is to lose my dad, there are reasons that God took him when he did. So I trust in that timing. And of course, the human side of me is like, oh, but what if we could have saved his heart? And I just don't know what that is. But what I want for you is for you to have the knowledge to take action. If you are having any of these symptoms, call 911. Don't drive yourself to the hospital. I mean, if you really need to, have someone else drive you. But this is the beauty of calling 911. When they send emergency services to you, and particularly an ambulance, you are bumped to the front of the line whenever you get to the hospital. So if you are in a busy area, they are already starting to triage you. They are starting to take care of you. And this is of my very, very, very small understanding of emergency departments. But call an ambulance and they will have the resources available to take care of you and to hopefully resolve your issues, or at least know what the next steps are going to be. Secondly, I really encourage you to trust yourself. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't wait to see if it gets better. Don't finish what you're doing first. Take action. Call 911. Get to a medical provider. And I want to say something really quickly about AI and Dr. Google. I know many of us, hand raised, definitely me, will turn to them first. and they can be genuinely helpful, but they're not your doctor. They are not a human with their human experience who knows you as a human. In an acute situation, there is no algorithm that replaces a real human who can examine you, run tests, make a clinical judgment. And it may be that the answer is, we don't know what this was. We think it was a stress-induced atypical migraine. This is pretty much where my friend's physician landed. She is still in the middle of having some tests. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that even though I called her in a panic, trying to be calm, but inwardly panicking, saying, call your doctor, I'm okay with the doctor saying, I think it's okay. We need to work on our stress level, because it means she's okay. And I know our healthcare system is not perfect. And I know that, most of us do not have just extra money sitting around waiting to go to the hospital. But trust yourself, listen to your symptoms, get to a real doctor as soon as possible. If you are having any of those stroke and TIA, remember your ACT, fast, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call 911, and then those female specific heart attack symptoms. I hope this is one episode you will never need, but you never know. And I just felt like I had to get this out there. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.